Hello, welcome back to Red River Exotics. I'm Kelly and this is Isabella. Bella is not going to talk too much. She just got her braces on today, so she's a little sore. Anyways, welcome back to our second video. Our first video, we just introduced ourselves, what our channel's about, and our reptiles. Today, we are going to be discussing one of our animals, Onyx. She is our red hypo-translucent bearded dragon. She is about 3 years old. Translucent, it really does show that nice black eye, which is absolutely beautiful. I love that. She's about 3 years old, and we have not had her too long, but she definitely has taught us a lot just in those couple months. When we got her, or where we got her, was at... She likes to move. Where we got her was an expo about 2-3 months ago. Yeah, somewhere around there. We were looking for a female bearded dragon, about a year old, to be paired with my male bearded dragon that was, I think, about 4 months at the time, so that we can possibly breed for the next season. When we got to the expo, there was, a lot of babies at that point, that everything was just hatching. But when we found her, she was one of the only adults there, and she had the Gen X we wanted, which was the red to go with our red hypo to go with our male, and the translucent, because we wanted some more of her, which are very beautiful. She's also possible het for 0, which would make some pretty amazing babies as well. So we learned a lot from her, like I said. The first thing we learned, and we actually did this prior to getting her, was before you ever buy a reptile, just like any other animal, make sure you have a vet lined up. You never know what's going to happen. And unfortunately, with these reptiles or any other exotic animal, there's not many vets that will service these animals. Moving forward, we found Onyx. I picked her up. She was so sweet. I put her on my shoulder. She just sat there, was like, oh my God, you're the sweetest and most beautiful animal. Fell in love with her right away. Bad thing to really do. You really want to look at this animal prior to even falling in love. I mean, you want to love your animal, but you want to make sure that the right reptile for you. What I learned from reptiles is, one, make sure you put them on a solid surface and get a good look at their structure. So if you can see her, I noticed when we first got her home, you can't really see it much anymore because of her muscle tone has gotten a lot better. But her upper leg right here was very low in muscle tone. And I noticed there was this big bump and she was just not walking just right. I mean, obviously there's not much of an issue right now with her mobility. Back then there was, and when we did take her to the vet for her main issue, the vet did say that it looked like at her younger age, she probably did fracture her forearm somehow. The vet doesn't know, but it's not bothering her, so it's not going to affect breeding.
Or just
Overall health. Yeah, exactly. She is not hindered at all with her mobility. Secondly, the reason why I took her to the vet is her lack of moving. And I know I've heard this on so many YouTube channels from other reptile experts. Well, I'm not expert, but reptile experts, I should say, that you want to make sure that your animal that you're picking out is lively. A lack of movement sometimes will show that there's something wrong with the reptile. And this was definitely the truth with Onyx. Shortly after we got her, she is in Isabella's room for quarantine, and it's a good thing we did. But shortly after we had her, Bella was telling me she has this weird cough or something that was going on. I was like, okay, Bella, I'm sure she's fine. Until about a week or so later, and I heard it. And I was like, I am a nurse. I've had, multiple patients have like a wet, productive or non-productive cough. And that's exactly what it sounded like. And to me, that was like, Okay, she definitely has some sort of respiratory issue, if not pneumonia. So right away, I got a hold of the vet. Unfortunately, we couldn't get her in there for a couple weeks because the vet's only there on like 1 day a week. But they said, if she gets worse, definitely call and we'll do an emergency vet visit. Thank God she was okay. She was definitely getting worse. She was still eating and having bowel movements, which was great. But she was a little more sluggish still. So when we got her there, she definitely had pneumonia at that point. She had lost a lot of weight. We checked her fecals just to be careful that, she didn't also have worms. And this was a $300 reptile. So my $300 dragon ended up being another 300 plus to take her to the vet. So is she worth it? Absolutely. I love this dragon. She's such a sweetheart and very active. But I end up having to give her antibiotic injections, which the vet taught me. I mean, I've given to humans, but it's a little different with reptiles. One, they don't know what you're doing, and she squirms a lot. So you have to get it right under the skin, between the scales, and it's a very, very small amount. So I was given that injection every 3 days for about a month. I had a follow-up visit just to make sure she was okay. And she did say, for these respiratory issues, it could take well over a month. Thank goodness, we caught it in time, I think. She was very concerned, but I think we caught her just in time, and she's thriving. Another thing to look for with getting your reptiles is asking for their paperwork prior to purchasing reptiles. I know with J5, he has a nice little card. It shows like what exactly their parents are of that reptile, their hatch date, their lay date, their hatch date, how much they weigh, all the information you would need. So this is an example of J5's, who again I'll mention a lot because he has taught us a lot in the reptile business. But as you see, like,
this is Freedom's card.
Yeah, I don't know if it's gone, but it has like their ID number. He has an ID number for all of his gecko babies, the parents. Let's see.
Focus, baby.
Focus. It's not gonna focus. But it has their sex, the morphs, their hets, which are really great because if you're breeding, you really want to know what their hets are, if they're possible hets or 66% het. You really need to know all their genetics when you're breeding.
They prove out to be.
Yeah, and so you can actually prove out their morphs. When I got Onyx, they said she was about a year old. I grabbed the paperwork that they handed me. Should have looked at it. Because unfortunately, when they told me she was a year, she was actually born in 2020, and it's now 2023. Do the math, she's 3 years old, not a year. So she should not have been that little as a 3-year-old. We also noticed a little bit of rubbing on her nose, which makes me believe that she was kept in a pretty small enclosure. She's only in a 40 right now, but I'm in the process of building all the rest of the bearded dragons, 120 gallons. So they'll have plenty of space. And we're probably going to stop here on this video. We're not going to do the rest of the animals that we have learned lessons on. There's a lot more to go over. So this was just a feature on Onyx. So the next video is going to be something special. We've been kind of planning this. We have been for a while on a new set or a new breed of animals to start getting into. So our next bout of reptiles we're going to have are hawknoses. So our next video is going to start off with how to set up your baby bins. This is for hognoses or any other small breed of snake. And then we will cut there and have our first reveal tomorrow.
Afternoon.
Tomorrow afternoon
before I leave work.
So tomorrow we're getting our male, and then Thursday we're getting our female. One of possibly 2 females. We'll
Tinley.
probably yes. So we're gonna have a pair this week, and then hopefully by Tinley we'll pick up another female, and we will go over the morphs that we're really excited about on these hug noses and the potentials. A lot of potential for these babies that we're super excited for. However, they are only babies. They're only, what, 2 months old maybe? So we have a couple years, 2-3 years before we're able to breed them. But it'll be fun to grow them up and see how they look and be excited. I don't want to do too many reptile breeding in one time, but we gotta plan ahead for our new adventures. So that is where I'm going to end the video, and hopefully we'll see you next time in probably a few days with the revealing of our new adventures. Bye.